Good morning, everyone. This is Randy from Snap Judgments, and I've got John from Ballin In Burgundy, a Washington Commanders fan, here to talk about free agency chaos going on today. John and I were originally going to get together today for some dueling mock drafts, take a look at things like that. But you know what? So much happened today. We went ahead, we rescheduled that. We're going to do that in a couple weeks. Right now, we've got a lot to sift through in free agency. So, John, why don't you start by introducing yourself? Talk about what you do, how you came to do this, and then we'll dive right into it.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I am the co-host, co-founder, co-CEO, editor, and designer of the Washington Commanders-based Ballin In Burgundy Podcast. And then I am 1/4 to 1/3, however you want to slice the pie, of the collaborative efforts known as the Burgundy Breakdown, myself, Reedy Z, and one guy talking sports. So everything Washington Commanders, everything NFL draft here on BIB. For all of our draft content, it's BIB Draft HQ. For everything else, it's Ballin In Burgundy Podcast by itself. So it's been an interesting, first day for my Commanders, whether it's, we'll get into all of that. But then getting into this podcast and this YouTube thing, myself and one of my other guys, Justin, we were on a Commanders podcast years ago, Command Central, before the Commanders actually named it Central Command or whatever it was. And we'd done that for like a year and a half, and he and I were like, hey, we talked to the original host, like, hey, we'll buy it from you. And the guy was like, no, it's my account. He and I went, all right, cool. So he and I created BIB, and 3 years and some change later, here we are, 20 subs short of 1,000 and doing a whole bunch of content. It's an absolute blast. But free agency is here. The tampering period is here because nothing is official till Wednesday the 11th.
Nice. And now, what's your YouTube link? It's just Ballin In Burgundy with no G at the end of balling, right?
Correct.
All right. So Ballin In Burgundy is 20 subs short of 1,000. Let's get him there, guys. Get over there. Hit sub on his channel. Let's get him up to 1,000. That'd be a celebratory moment.
That would be fantastic. I can finally get my 2 cents per video from YouTube.
Well, listen, free agency tampering period opened up today. Now, free agency hasn't technically started. People can enter into verbal deals, essentially verbal agreements right now. And look, I don't know if you've ever drank from a fire hose, but that's what today feels like. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. If you haven't grown up drinking from a fire hose, what are you doing?
Listen, it is just news, endless news, constant refreshing on the Twitter timeline, just trying to, this is really the day of the year that Adam Schefter plays Santa Claus, and he brings us all the tidbits.
This is honestly more like Christmas Eve because nothing is truly official till Wednesday, so you could deem this Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Look, they're just putting presents under the tree right now. You might unwrap them, and like your Carolina and Milton Williams turns into, well, not Milton Williams. Contracts, they become official later in the week, Wednesday, actually. And you see the most news out of the insiders these days. So let's jump right into it, and we're going to head over to the quarterbacks here. Now, Malik Willis was really the news of the day with the quarterbacks, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. Tua Tagovailoa out, Malik Willis in. So he signed a 3-year deal that's worth about $67.5 million. Miami released Tua, and in doing so, they're going to eat just about $90 million in dead cap. So that's a insane. Lot of financial pain. Okay.
I mean, if you ever ask Odell Beckham Jr., you can't survive on $100 million, apparently. But it's insane.
Listen, how it started, tank for Tua. How's it going? Tua
released.
No mo Tua. Okay.
Nope.
That's how it's going right there, Malik Willis. Look, beyond the fact, let's just all try and get over the fact that Malik Willis's face looks like somebody put a little box around his eyes and mouth and made it a little smaller. I don't know what's going on with that picture there. It's got to be.
It's probably just a bad photo.
Yeah, it's got to be, or they stretched it a little much or something. It's an interesting thing. Look, this is kind of a little bit of a throwback to back in the day when, quarterbacks would get out there, play 2 games, and then all of a sudden they'd get traded for a second round pick or go make themselves a big payday somewhere. Guys like
well, what was it? Matt Flynn
come to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys like that. I mean, how do you think this ends up working out for Miami here?
I think their cap space is in 2020 Rams. It is just purely in hell at this rate because they will this contract. I'm going to start with the Tua contract, $100 million. $900 million in dead cap space. They're never getting out of that for the next 3 years. So the fact that you spent 67.5, and I think around, what was it, 30 or so was guaranteed to Malik.
I think it was 37. Yeah.
37, even better. So almost 2/3 of that contract's guaranteed. Tells me, A, they view him as the future because they don't have a current future in Miami, not named Jalen Waddle and Chop Robinson. Like, I can't name you another defensive player because, Minka's gone. Chop is injured. Jalen is now an Eagle, now Carolina Panther. So I think, and he has the connections between Havley and the GM. It's Green Bay all over again. Granted, for the couple games that Malik played, he played good football. Like, he probably played some of the best football in his career, and he's been out since the 2021 draft. So I'm not mad whatsoever at him going. I think I'm a little weary-eyed of saying, well, this could be the recency bias contract. Like, we brought up Matt Flynn, and we'll bring up, a certain new KC Chief, is 7 games grants you $67 million. If that's the case, I should be a bajillionaire by now for some of the videos I've been putting out on YouTube. But I think all in all, if they were going to release Tua and go get someone, it makes sense for them to go get a former in-house player that they know and have, Havley has coached to a degree. So not the worst case, definitely not, the Deshaun Watson contract. Seems a bit rich, all things considered, but it's also the QB market. So 67 for QBs is really more like 22 for a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the two places that really sign new quarterbacks today, that's Green Bay and Arizona. And both of them had ties in one way or another to Malik Willis because Matt LaFleur, obviously the head coach in Green Bay, his brother Mike LaFleur, now the head coach in Arizona, and the defensive coordinator from Green Bay last year, Jeff Hafley, now the head coach in Miami. The defensive guy went ahead and made the signing, which is interesting to me because Arizona did bring in a quarterback, and that quarterback was Gardner Minshew, 1 year, $8 million. So when it came down to it, the offensive guy whose brother ran the team for last year with Malik Willis on it, decided they were going to pass. And the defensive guy who spent last year with Malik Willis, but again, he was the defensive coordinator, and just for the year in Green Bay, they went ahead and signed him. Look, they're really trying to put their stamp on a new era there. And, last year, this time, I was telling everybody Miami is going to be a dumpster fire next season. I was blown away that McDaniels made it through the entire season with his job.
Same.
GM, head coach, quarterback, all out by the end of the year. Just not surprising to me.
I think team president
this
too
works out much better.
No. I think I think the team president also got released too. Which, I mean, first off, Chris Grick should have been fired 3 years ago, and I'm not even a Dolphins fan that's saying this. Like, I'm Commanders first, but I intake all NFL news. So some of my guys are like, John, shut up. I'm like, but it relates. So that whole organization, I'm surprised McDaniel wasn't fired by week 8. I'm shocked Zach Taylor still has a job. But
right.
I think, I mean, if we're going to stick to quarterbacks, yes, we brought up, Minshew Mania going to Arizona. And I mean, it's a 1 year, $8 million deal coming off a supposed torn ACL, which wasn't actually torn. So actually, congrats to Minshew for not having that injury. Can you pull up where Tua Tagovailoa is now headed? Because this kills me.
Sorry about that. Hit the mute button for a second.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, no, look, I don't think that, ultimately this is really a recipe for success for Miami. They're still missing pieces, and it's a confusing day overall for Dolphins fans too, because you started out the day dealing your best defensive player for a bag of peanuts. So it was like, okay, and then all of a sudden, new quarterback comes in. You start out the day, you're dealing your best defensive star for peanuts. Then you're eating 90 million in dead cap. So you automatically are like, look, we're writing off this year, but then you go and spend 70 million almost on a new quarterback. So it's a very confusing day to be a Miami Dolphins fan.
It is. I mean, trading Minkah isn't the worst. And I'm not saying that because he was now arguably their best defensive player, but getting off his contract, I think, was their biggest priority. We are still eating dead cap on Minkah's contract, but the Jets are desperate enough to trade for anybody. I'm shocked it was only a 7th. Maybe it could have been a 5th or a 6th, but also Minkah's, I think, late 20s, maybe cracking 30.
Close to it.
He's
still a good player.
He's still fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, for two teams so desperate for secondary help too, I mean, there are potentially no two teams that could combine to have worse cornerback rooms in the league last year than those two. Maybe Vegas.
I think Vegas and Tennessee will like to call your phone for that answer.
I don't know, man. Miami had Storm Duck starting until he got hurt.
Believe me, Miami is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to secondary.
And then the Jets were the only secondary without an interception last year.
Interception, yep. Up there, but then Tennessee's secondary is not great either. It's better now, but it's not great.
Well, yeah, they went out and signed Alontae Taylor. We'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
Let's get away from the quarterback. So there was one other quarterback move, and that involved your I almost said Redskins, Commanders. That involved your Commanders. Marcus Mariota coming back there. He was a serviceable backup as when he was needed this year.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you go for hoping he won't be needed anymore, but that's certainly a solid move.
Yeah. It's perfect for Jaden's development. It keeps him in the same. I almost said Cliff Kingsbury. It's the same David Blau concept, same offense, same mentor. Like nothing's really got to change. You don't have to learn a new concept, and he's probably going to use some pieces you learned from Cliff in the QB room. So I don't have an issue with that. What I found hilarious, and I kind of mentioned this when you hit the mute button, so we can always just chop this up later. Where Tua is now. Did you see this?
Yeah, well, Atlanta. So they've got the two lefty quarterbacks that both are made of porcelain.
They signed. Mind you, they got him on a vet minimum because he is still guaranteed like $50 million from Miami. Yeah. And I went and shout out to Big Herb Off the Bench podcast because when I went on his live right at 12 o'clock Eastern, I said, watch Atlanta get to it, and they will have concussion poppy and aqua ACL. And that is exactly what they did. Because you say porcelain, they're more like 2000s dark red Legos. The least amount of pressure, they snap. And that's exactly who they got.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, it's they are really doubling down on the left-handed fragile quarterback for sure. It's puzzling.
This Sonic ice cream has, I think, melted in less time than both of their injuries. Like it's insane.
Well, listen, let's pop over the offensive skill positions. Okay, we had a number of guys switch teams today, and not the least important of which was Mike Evans. After 12 years in Tampa Bay, he was GM Jason Light's first ever draft pick. He picked him 7th overall. And that was in the, I think, 2012 draft. I didn't write that down. I should have. But that's a big move.
No, it had to be 2014 because 26 minus 12 is 14.
Yeah. Let's see. Mike Evans draft was 2014. Yeah, 7th overall pick, 2014 draft. Headed to San Francisco. Now, what's interesting to me here is a 3-year deal.
Yeah. I think, well, first of all, I didn't see San Fran going for him at all. I thought it was going to be Buffalo. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like maybe Chicago, maybe KC. This 3-year contract, I think, gets through the end of Brock Purdy's contract. If I'm being completely transparent, because they signed him, a year and some change ago? I think it comes to a 4 or 5. Yeah, this gets it to the end of Brock Purdy's contract. Is this a sign
Yeah,
of
I mean,
things?
it's an interesting contract to me because Mike Evans is 32 years old. So it's signed through his 35-year-old season. He's coming off a season where he struggled with injuries, just 30 receptions, 368 yards. I understand he's been a productive receiver for a long time, but you're paying at this point in time for past production, not for future production, in my opinion. I'd be interested to see the contract, to see how much they're actually paying him, and to see the outs. I'm guessing it's going to be a Stephon Diggs-like contract from last year where you can get out after year 1 and after year 2 for relatively little financial pain. That would be my guess anyway. Look, it's not that he's not a productive player. He's just geriatric from an NFL player standpoint, okay?
He is.
So it's a tough trade to be made, or tough sign.
It's a tough sign to be traded, but on the other side of that coin, they are expected to release Brandon Ayuk, and I've said this the whole offseason. I do not need 2020s like Antonio Brown-esque, meaning all the diva, the money, the lights, the drama in Brandon Ayuk in DC. I don't need it. This tells me they're getting rid of him. They can't fully trust Ricky Pearsall to stay healthy, and they don't expect Juwan Jennings to be back. This tells me they need someone that they can trust. And honestly, in this receiver market, he is the most trusted wide receiver on the market. I don't hate it. I agree. I think it's an out after year 1, year 2. And I would expect a lot of this is guaranteed money too.
And look, it should be mentioned that the bulk of Mike Evans' game he's 6'5", and so getting older, he's not going to be less 6'5", as if his speed, if his game was built off speed. As you get older, you're slower and slower. We're seeing that with Tyreek Hill, who eventually is not even going to be able to catch his girlfriends to beat them. So
he probably can't even catch some of his kids.
Listen, let's a bunch of different other moves around the league today too. I don't have graphics for all of them because, again, drinking from a fire hose, guys. But look, Kenneth Walker III to the Chiefs. That was a deal that was something about $15 million a year. I didn't write down the exact number. Michael Pittman traded to the Steelers. I think that's going to be for a third, and he got a new contract too. I think that was 3 for $54.
It was 3 for $54, but the trade, it's not even a big trade per se. If I remember correctly, I think it's like a 6 and a 7 pick swap. I think it's like Pittman and a 7 for a 6. It's not a high.
Wow. I thought it was going to be something like a third.
No, it's not high at all because when they traded for DK, it wasn't somewhat of a high trade either.
Yeah, well, that was a second. That was a second for DK.
That's true. It didn't feel like a second the way he produced. But no, it's not. It didn't. I mean, I'm gonna look at it just real quick. But I don't think. Schefter is saying it's reportedly just a late round pick swap. So I would assume it's a 7th for a 6th, or maybe Pittman in a 7th for a 5th.
Now, see, that frustrates me from a Patriots player or Patriots fan standpoint because, look, the Patriots just outright struck out on wide receivers today. Alec Pierce went back to the Colts, 28.5 AAV. I'm fine with that. I didn't really want to pay him that, to be honest. Even tight ends, Isaiah Likely headed over to the Giants, which I thought was weird. I'm like, dude, you're going to the coach that's been keeping you benched behind Mark Andrews for years. And now
those are Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I guess. But man, I thought it was interesting when they decided to re-sign Mark Andrews and let Likely walk.
Yeah, I agree.
From an age perspective, like it's just back end of the career versus prime of the career.
That in my opinion, because they lost Danny Bellinger to Tennessee, they go, well, I already know what Likely's going to do. Him and Jackson Dart now have an opportunity to show what they can do. I actually don't mind it because of the other side of the coin of them losing their tight end. And
Yeah,
won
no,
it.
I mean, I don't hate it. I just thought it was interesting. Like, if it were me, I'd be like, I don't know, dude. You just had me on the bench for 3 years. Like, I'm good.
Right.
But the couple other running backs that got new contracts, new homes. Travis Etienne to the Saints, 4 years, $52 million, big bucks. Kenneth Gainwell to Tampa, 2 years for 14. Tyler Algier to Arizona, 2 years, 12. Look, which one of those signings jumps out to you?
I was live with Reedy and Z when the Algier one went down, but really when the ETN one came across our desks, I went, huh. Because he was linked to Washington for a bit. He was nowhere in the vicinity of New Orleans. He's from Clemson. That's a South Carolina team. If anything, I'm thinking, maybe go back to Carolina, pair him up with Rico Dowdle. Maybe he'll go to Dallas with Javonte. Maybe he'll go to New England to pair with Trayvon Henderson. And the Saints went, we got no one on the books right now. Let's go get Travis Etienne. And then they picked up a thing of no lineman at the same time. So my next question for Saints fans is Tyler Shough the future? Because this contract tells me you expect Shough to play long-term football.
I think he's the future quarterback for right now. I think he's the answer there in New Orleans. And I'll tell you what, as a draft nerd, okay, self-proclaimed, self-diagnosed, what I see in this, Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs pick at 9. Etienne to the Saints pick at 8. Yep. Do they think that Jeremiah Love is not going to be on the board? I'm wondering if Tennessee is making it real well known that they intend to take Jeremiah Love at 4.
If it's not Tennessee, it'd be my Washington Commanders in play for Jeremiah Love because the Browns don't need them. They have Samson and Judkins. The Giants don't need them. They have Cam Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy. The Cardinals now don't need them with James Conner and Tyler Algier.
Yeah, they firmly took themselves out of the running back market in the draft.
Jets now don't need him because they franchise transition tag Breece Hall, which I think is.
By the way, did you see the Breece Hall tweet? So apparently there's all kinds of money in New York here with all the free agents they're signing.
When the franchise tag for him is only like 19 and some change, why not just use that at this rate? But and then the Raiders obviously taking Mendoza, and for everyone's like, no, they could take Orville. They're taking Mendoza. They don't go out and sign 5 wide receivers, and as we're recording, they just signed like 3 linebackers and Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean to not go get Fernando Mendoza. Yeah. So if Robert, I had this argument on Reedy and Z. Could Tennessee be in play? Yes, but they still have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears on the books. Unless they're going to get draft capital for them or they create super cap space to get rid of them, do they need now a third running back to pair with Cam Ward when they could go get one in early second or early third in like Mike Washington or Katron Allen?
Yeah.
Who are phenomenal. But it's Jeremiah Love 1, and then it just jumps down to like 3. Right. But like Mike Washington, if you're going to say someone's like a Jeremiah Love light, I would say to Mike Washington because he ran just as fast, is just as heavy, it's somewhat just as hard. Or he can go get his teammate in Jadarian Price. I think Tennessee, if anything, could out and go get Arvell Reese because they traded for Jermaine Johnson and they signed John Franklin Myers. And I know I'm jumping the gun on defense, but this tells me they're switching to a 4-3. Well, in a 4-3, you need a pivotal linebacker. Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles would be that pivotal linebacker. So now Jeremiah Love just falls to 7.
Yeah, to me, I think that the league expects it to be one of those 2 places because you're sitting at 8, you're sitting at 9. You have the opportunity to sign, or to draft really a really great running back, have him on a cheap rookie deal, and instead both of you go out and elect to spend 13 to 15 million on an established veteran running back. And you're right. This running back class this year is not quite as deep as it was last year. Last year's running back class was, incredible in the draft. This year, not quite as deep, but there are still a number of options where you, like you said, Jadarian Price, Mike Washington, Emmett Johnson's a late round pick that people think could be productive. Robert Henry out of UTSA, another good player people could think could be productive. You mentioned Katron Allen. Well, yeah, you mentioned Katron Allen, Jonah Coleman, very much very similar to Katron Allen out of Washington. He's a favorite of mine. So there are a lot of options there for a lot cheaper. But I think that we need to start approaching these mock drafts as if Jeremiah Love is going to be a top 5 to 7 pick. Absolutely.
I think it was going to be top 10 regardless. I think now it's firmly there's only 2 spots inside the top 10 he now goes, and it has to be Tennessee or Washington. It's not, well, he could go to the Giants or he could go to, it's now firmly 4, 7, or he falls to Minnesota at 18 because no one else outside of 10 needs that running back. Dallas, Tampa, Baltimore, like none of them need running backs. Now it's 4, 10, or he falls to 18. There's no now in between.
No, I it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And I always think this sort of time is interesting to see because you kind of get a glimpse of what the NFL thinks it's going to happen. And I think the NFL thinks he's going to go really high. A couple other names I didn't mention yet. Wan'Dale Robinson to Tennessee, 4 years, $78 million. 38 of that's guaranteed. And then Jalen Naylor, the one Minnesota Viking who's not wide receiver, who's not particularly good, went to Vegas for 3 years, $35 million, 23 of that guaranteed. So it's very strange signing. I thought the Wan'Dale Robinson signing was interesting. They don't really need that type of guy.
They don't.
They've already got Chamari DK. It just seems like a little overlap in skill set, if you will.
It does, but it also tells me they're probably moving on from Calvin Ridley soon, and they purely are going to use Chamari DK on special teams. Like I'm a Florida Gators fan. Incredible on special. Like I think he holds either the Titans record or the NFL record now on the most special team all scrimmage yards. Like 2,000, I think it was like 2,000 and change this year. Not including his receiving yards. Like, it's insane. So this could tell me, well, they view him more as like a 2 to a 3, where they could use Robinson as more of that 1, unless they're going to go like Cardinal Tate at 4 and really shock.
Look, it's not that I don't like Wan'Dale Robinson, just nothing about him from the time he was at Kentucky to the time he spent in New York has ever screamed to me NFL number 1 wide receiver. Just, I don't know.
No, I agree.
Now let's skip over. We're going to hop over to the offensive line here. Linderbaum to Vegas. That was really the big, shit, that's not the right picture, but Linderbaum to Vegas.
There we go.
That was really the big move. Look, he completely reset the center market. Okay. The prior center market was Creed Humphrey at 18 million. This guy is getting 27 a year, 27 as a center, 27.
He's been giving wide receiver 1 money.
Wild. I'm just blown away by it. I mean, look, he's talented. Don't get me wrong. And the fucking puzzling part is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a Raiders fan. I don't really give a shit how they waste their money. But my read on the Raiders situation had been similar to the New England situation. You've got a young center in JPJ over there.
Yep.
He's been playing out of position. Just put him at the right position and sign a guard. And you could have fixed that offensive line without spending $27 million on the highest paid center in NFL history. If the New England had done this, I would be so angry because, like, okay, well, why did we draft Jared Wilson last year, right? All right, well, why did they draft JPJ, or why haven't they traded him? Why haven't they got some draft capital out of JPJ? Because there are a lot of teams that could use a young center.
I think the contract, it's a wild contract, to be honest. Now, I would love to see that you were saying the comparisons for the I think it was the Mike Evans. I want to see this contract because this has to be out of that 81 million and I want to say it was what 40 or 50 guaranteed. Oh, it says on screen $60 million guaranteed.
60 guaranteed, 20 a year guaranteed. It's only a 3-year deal for 81. It's wild.
It's wild, but this tells me they're converting probably 35 of that into a signing and a roster bonus, because there's no way they're going to let this cap hit be astronomical. But like Linderbaum has been one of the best centers in the past couple of years, coming like straight out of college. Like when you mention top 7 centers, it's him, it's Creed, literally him, Creed Humphrey. I would throw in Kelsey when he was still active.
Yeah, I mean Frank Ragnow until he retired.
And now it's legitimately like, is it him or is it Humphrey?
Now listen, don't get me wrong, okay? I am the conductor of the center is an undervalued position train. Okay. I really honestly believe if you show me a good offensive line, 99% of the time I'll show you a great center, because that's how lines are built. I think they're wildly undervalued. Look, the left tackle, you've got to have the left tackle, of course, but you've got to have a good center.
Yep.
And so don't get me wrong, undervalued position, but this is really, really undervalued on steroids. I mean, it's an insane number.
So my Commanders were in on Linderbaum, and I think we made an offer. It was us, it was Las Vegas, and I forget the third team, because New York Giants fell out because he had priced himself out. Yeah. So it's 3 for 81. I would assume we offered probably 3 for 70. For him to go 3 to 81, either they're going to cut JPJ in the offseason. Come draft day, they might get, maybe a day 2, like a really late day 2 and an early day 3 pick. Yeah. Or they see something in him at guard with Kubiak's new system that might, because for all intents and purposes.
Maybe, man. It's so weird too, because Janocko, being an offensive line coach and being the offensive coordinator there, I looked at that and said, look what you did in Seattle. Yep. You fixed their offensive line. Now, granted, you spent the first round pick on Gray Zabel, and he was solid this year by the numbers. He's a good prospect. He's going to be a great pro. His rookie year, he was solid, right? Like just by the numbers.
I think numbers alone, but I think if you look at some of the tape, he should have gone. I would have put in a few offensive rookie of the player votes for him personally. Like as no lineman, he was probably. Yeah. It was him. Maybe Jared Wilson as 2 of the best young linemen in this past class, because Zabel should have gone a little higher.
The rest of that interior offensive line was trash. Jalen Sundell, an undrafted free agent who was literally only on the team because he was Gray Zabel's college teammate, and Anthony Bradford, who was one of the weakest right guards in the league. So it surprised me that they would need to make this sort of wild investment in that offensive line with Janocko and his reputation taking over the offense there. It wasn't the only big interior offensive lineman to move, though. Zion Johnson headed to Cleveland to continue the reconstruction of their offensive line there, which is necessary. They started recently with Titus Howard, acquired him from Houston. You imagine he's going to be at the right tackle spot. Zion Jones should slide right into the left guard spot. And look, it's a pretty solid way to start building your line.
It's solid, considering 4 of their 5 people are free agents or retired.
5 of 5. 5 of 5. The entire offensive line.
Yep. It's gone. Now.
Yeah, and I think like 3 out of 5 had announced they had no interest in coming back. Wyatt Teller, Ethan Pocic, and the right tackle, maybe whoever was playing right tackle there.
No, Cornelius. I think Cornelius Lucas left, and he was
Jack.
No,
it was Jack.
Conklin.
Yes, Jack Conklin. Yeah, so I think like 3 out of 5 had announced they weren't coming back. Yeah. So it's like, oh damn, I don't even remember the last time all 5 changed over. I mean, last year here in New England, we replaced 4 out of 5, but all 5 of your offensive
all 5 is insane.
Scheduled to walk out the door on the same day as well.
So there are. I mean, Tyus Howard is not a top 10 tackle by any means, but he is more than serviceable. Zion Johnson, not a top 10 guard, more than serviceable to protect God knows who back there at quarterback, whether it's Shadur, whether it's Deshaun, whether it's, maybe they bring Deshaun Kaiser out of retirement at this rate, just keep all these weird quarterbacks in the room. There are worse ways to go about this. And frankly, there weren't a whole lot of fantastic guards on the market. Like it's Chris Paul, Zion Johnson, and a couple of others. So not a couple of others. Yeah. So 3 years at 50, 32 guaranteed. So about, what is that? We'll call it 60% of his contract's guaranteed over 3 years. He's making roughly about 10.4, 10.5 mil a year. Worst ways to go. But yeah, if they don't draft at least a tackle and a guard in this draft, I think Cleveland is just relocate them. Just sell the team, relocate that whole.
Yeah, I mean, in my mock drafts, I've been going back-to-back offensive line in the first round. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure that sort of investment in the draft would be necessary at this point, because I really think that Zion Johnson and Titus Howard, they raise your floor. Right. I mean, you have two solid starters on that line now, and that's a very good base to start from. If you can grab someone in the first, I had them taking Monroe Freeling at 6 as early as last week, the week before the combine.
That's high.
So Monroe Freeling at 6 to play left tackle.
Yeah.
There are a number of good centers. I mean, you take someone like Jake Slaughter, you could get in the 3rd or 4th round probably, and he could start for you tomorrow at center. And then there are a number of right guards in the draft that I think you could get early on day 3 that, maybe they're not going to be great. They're definitely going to be your weak link, but they can grow, and they can grow into this line, and this line can grow as a unit. I think they did some pretty solid things for themselves there. Another noticeable move that I noticed, number one, David Edwards out of Buffalo, 4 years, $61 million to New Orleans. Look, they kind of made their decision yesterday when they brought back McGovern at center. Note to self, they paid McGovern $13 million a year, which is Tyler Linderbaum is 2 Connor McGoverns. That's a wild, such a jump.
It's so insane.
But Illuminor, who stays in New York, that's 3 years, $39 million. So that's look, this offensive line market is moving up though. You're going to pay a solid starter about $15 million a year, and you're going to pay anyone better than that, more than that. I mean, Edwards,
I'll raise you. I'll raise the Linderbaum contract for what my Commanders just gave Laremy Tunsil for his 2-year extension.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes.
2 years, $60 million, $60.2 million. There are $61 million in guarantees, including a signing bonus at 32.5. He's the first $20 million, $25, and now $30 million offensive lineman.
My goodness.
And because this was before, I think, the Linderbaum stuff, because Schefter tweeted that around 12:35 in the afternoon. So, Larry Tunsil is a top 3 left tackle in this league, probably a top 10 offensive lineman in this league. So it's definitely going up. And we said, left tackle, if you're going to start paying for a position, you start with left tackle at a lot of teams. So thankfully we got him locked down. 3 years, 39, and it's Jermaine Illuminor. I'm not sweating bullets that teams missed out on him. New York probably went, he's familiar. He's done decent for Jackson. There aren't really a whole lot of, superstar tackles on the market. Let's just bring in a guy back in.
Yeah, no, it's a solid signing. I'm not going to knock it at all.
No.
So as we move on through the positions here, there has been a little bit of an explosion on the defensive side of the ball. And that was led by not just Jalen Phillips, but also Odafe Owe headed to Washington to your guys. Jalen Phillips, 4 years, $120 million with 80 of that guaranteed, which is fucking wild. And Odafe Owe to Washington, 4 years, $100 million with 68 of that guaranteed. Now you remember the first $100 million contract to a defensive player was also given by Washington to Albert Hainsworth.
Yes.
I imagine you got to hope this works out better.
I think it will. I think at that point in Haynesworth's career, he was, coming off a great season, and then it's Dan Snyder going, "Yo, flashy name, money." Where we at least went, well, let's see what the market tells us. Well, Phillips going for 4, 120 and 80. For us to get him at 4, 160 is on the same vein of 4, 120 and 80. But I think there's an out in probably year 3 for us. Carolina, this smells like revenge for the Milton Williams contract last season. It just has that feeling of like, oh, no. We're not missing out this time. Yeah. No. Hell no. You are signing today. But sir, it's not valid till Wednesday. It doesn't matter if it's valid. Sign him. $80 million.
Sign it in blood. Sign it in blood.
He probably signed that in red ink, not even black or blue, red ink, like old English teachers used to do.
That's funny because I didn't even think of that because we were supposed to be on Phillips too.
Yeah. Oh, you, me, apparently Carolina. Like I didn't smell Carolina in his vicinity. Look, I think I've been a Jalen Phillips fan for a while. I think his career riddled with season-ending injury after season-ending. Like when fully healthy, I think he could be a top 10 edge rusher in this league. Problem is, every time he gets steam under the engine, the whole dang charcoal bin decides to blow up in his face and give him a season-ending injury. So I would assume $20 to $30 million of that guarantee is an injury guarantee for him. He's like, if I'm leaving here, I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah, I mean, because 6 years he's played in the league. Well, 6 years he's played in the league. 4 of those he has been fully healthy. 2 of those a combined 12 games. Played, not missed. Played for 2 of those years, 8 and 4. Definitely a risky signing. Also, there's been a lot of talk about Carolina, number one, using a first or a second round pick on edge help, which obviously they're not going to do now. So it affects mock drafts in that way. But number 2, throughout all of that talk, I had consistently said, look, sometimes I think you need to get the help by developing the guys you just drafted. And Carolina spent a second and a third round pick last year on Princely Umanmielen and Nick Skirton. And I'm surprised that they would want to throw this kind of investment just to push those guys down the block. Look, I get wanting to make an impact and all that. It's a lot of assets thrown at one position group, and hopefully this helps get them over the top.
It should, but I mean, I'm gonna pull up their years, but I think Jalen had more career sacks than both of them combined this year, Princely and Nick Skirton. Because I think Skirton was a good pickup. So Nick Skirton had 5 sacks and 1 forced fumble, so it's the exact same stats as Jalen Phillips in Philadelphia. But then Princely Umanmielen, let's see if I can spell this name on. There we go. He had 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 13 total tackles. But they have Umanmielen listed at linebacker, where Skirton and Phillips will play true edge. So I don't know how this defense now plays out, because I think, like, honestly, if I'm Carolina, I would still see what Keldrick Folk could do, because I think Folk should be moved into the interior. I don't know if he's going to necessarily play edge in this league, size and weight. But because if he does, him and Derek Brown with Phillips on one side and Skirton on the other, you're starting young enough to where Derek goes, in 2 years, I can hand over the reins if they're qualified. If not, next year we'll probably see Canales out of Carolina anyways.
Yeah, I mean, look, give me a penetrating defensive tackle next to Derek Brown, though. Give me like Caleb Banks on his best day. Healthy again. You want to keep him healthy, but give me like a Caleb Banks next to Derek Brown, between Phillips, between Umanmielen, between Skirton, whoever they got out there. That's a hell of a front seven to deal with. A couple other names that jumped out to me today. Kwity Paye went to Vegas, 3 years, $48 million, 32 guaranteed. Boye Mafe headed to Cincy, 3 years, $60 million. And I didn't get the guarantees on that. But Joseph Asai, Jets, 3 years, 36 million. And then actually one of my favorite moves of the day, to be honest, was Rashawn Gary getting traded to Dallas for, I think it was a 4th round pick. They missed out on Max Crosby. They were willing to trade a 1st and a 2nd next year for Max Crosby. They were not willing to trade 2 firsts. Baltimore ponied up the 2 firsts, and so they got him. And so Dallas pivoted, and I think they got a much better value, to be honest. I would not be putting out 2 firsts for a 29-year-old edge rusher who's had injury concerns in the past.
No. Granted,
but
before they pulled
Gary for a 4th rounder, oh hell yeah!
But remember, the second reason they got Rashawn Gary is because they were priced out for the Trey Hendrickson sweepstakes, which, by the way, he hasn't signed with anyone as of recording. Trey Hendrickson is still a free agent right now. Dallas, I was probably going to give him around the 25 number. I think he's going to want more like 30. So they were on 2 30-year-old injured guys. Yeah.
Well,
so
I think
Rashawn Gary is a nice 3.
Ultimately, I think New England's going to end up having to pay Trey Hendrickson just because you've got to make some sort of splash. You've got to sign. You've got to bring a guy in. You bring him in on a deal similar to what you gave Diggs last year, a deal you can get out of with relatively little financial pain in a year, and then again in 2 years, and you try and give him the 3 for 30 that he wants. It's again, I think the Gary trade is really my favorite move at the edge position for today. I'm perfectly happy with my Patriots being out on paying Boye Mafe $20 million a year.
I didn't think it was that much.
$16 a year is even a little high.
I didn't think Boye. So I was kind of in on the Boye Mafe sweepstakes. So when I dropped my free agents list on BIB, me, Nick, and Andrew, and then formerly Chris, we let him go a few weeks ago. We had Boye Mafe on our top 10 list of free agents we should sign because we'd all agreed Hendrickson would be great, but he's going to be so expensive. A cheap young option that can play edge and linebacker would be Boye Mafe. I had him at right around 13. The market was set 12 to 15. To get a rough 20 mil, but it's the Bengals. They got him, and they got Brian Cook, the Chiefs safety. And I think they overpaid for him a little bit there. Because Shamar Stewart.
It's like you have to overpay to go deal with that Cincy ownership. Like, who would want to do that in their right mind anyway?
Yeah, but Hendrickson, for all intents and purposes, had 4.5 sacks in the 7 games he played because he was injured. Shamar Stewart, you would have thought he wasn't on an FBI most wanted list the way you could not find him after taking the whole offseason to get signed. I couldn't name you Chris Jenkins. I couldn't name you with the second defensive tackle or linebacker on that team. Joseph Asai is cool, but then he went to New York, as we said earlier. They have no edge threat. Boye Mafe at least gives you a sense of flexibility.
Look, Cincinnati went out of their way to make sure they didn't have an edge threat this year, right? Look, Trey Hendrickson was injured. I'm not a fucking doctor, but I'm pretty sure when you spend the entire summer fighting back and forth with the team, and then all of a sudden you come out with this injury, look, I wasn't surprised. That's all I'm going to say, okay? I wasn't shocked that he didn't want to fight through whatever he was fighting. Because, look, in the NFL, you're hurt and you're injured, right? There's two different things because everybody's some level of hurt. So you're either hurt or you're injured. Now you're hurt and you're on a team that you're fighting for something. You get in there and you screw it. I'm just going to fight through this. I'm going to battle through it. But let's say, for instance, you're hurt. You're on a shit team that's not going anywhere. You hate the ownership. You don't want to be there. Why are you going to get out there and fight through it? I think Trey Hendrickson probably could have been on the field if he wanted to be where he was. But
if he wanted to.
Yeah, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I don't even play one on Twitter. But that's just my read on the situation. And then they went ahead and screwed themselves with Shamar Stewart last year, who was like, hey, look, we're going to use our first round pick. We're going to take a guy that needs a lot of development. And then what we're going to do is we're going to screw with him all summer to make sure he doesn't get that development before his rookie year. And then we're going to come out with a god-awful, historically bad NFL defense. And then you got to overpay guys like Boye Mafe to come there and deal with your shit. And it's like, really,
and
that
they kept their whole coaching staff and leadership.
Yeah, it's wild. Okay?
They should sell the team, but they are in the New York Knicks fashion of, because James Dolan refuses to sell the Knicks, Browns ownership refuses, or Bengals ownership refuses to resell or to sell the Bengals, but they'll overpay for Joe, Jamar, and T. Well, now when you have $5 for defense and it costs you $7 to get Boye Mafe, you've screwed yourself.
Yeah.
So unless they're gonna go get the third best edge at 10, or they somehow end up with maybe Caleb Downs at 10, or they end up with Peter Woods at 10, they could very well go O-line at 10 and go, we have no one now to protect Joe. But now you still have no like the Bengals. Don't get me started on that. Look, I'm a Commanders fan. I would love to rebuild this Cincinnati roster through the mock drafts alone. I would have a blast with this. I think Jalen Phillips got a little overpaid. I think Joseph Asai is teetering the overpay, but 3 years, 36. So you're averaging, what is that? 12. Really, you're averaging 9.5.
Not too bad. It's not too bad.
That's not bad at all. Odafe Owe, 4 for 100 for 60 guaranteed on my Commander, so he's averaging 20. It's probably going to really more look like 18 because of some signing bonuses and roster incentives. So maybe you could say an overpay, but also he's one of the younger actually edges on the market. And in the 10 games in Los Angeles, he had like 7.5 sacks and a couple of forced fumbles. So I quite enjoyed the signing. And then Rashawn Gary getting the 4th round pick from Green Bay for him. You could honestly say that is about on market value for someone his age and skill set. Outside of Phillips, I think this is actually a roughly safe day to be an edge rusher to get a contract.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't a bad day. I thought they all signed a little more than I thought they were. I thought the market was going to be like 12 to 15. It turned out to be 15 to 20-ish. Which, not huge. And given the way that the cap's risen over the past few years, I mean, the cap has been rising $25 million a year for the past 4 years, roughly. So it's not a shocking contract for anybody, really. A couple names in the secondary that got my attention throughout the league. Jalen Watson headed to the Rams as they build the Chiefs West secondary. Look, they traded for McDuffie the other day, signed Jalen Watson today, 3 years. $51 million. That's 15, 17 a year. 17. Alontae Taylor to Tennessee helped them with their secondary woes. You referenced that earlier. And then Kobe Bryant to Chicago. Now, that stood out to me. 3 years, $40 million. I had heard early in the process that Chicago was very interested in bringing Byard back, but not so sure about Brisker. Brisker remains unsigned. So does Byard, to be fair. But my point is you're definitely not bringing both of those back now that you brought Kobe Bryant to the building. Byard is probably back, and that leaves Brisker on the market, which is interesting to me. What do you think about these 3 moves in the secondary here?
I was pissed that LA got Jalen Watson because I secretly wanted him for my Washington Commander because he's young, he's good in coverage, he reminds me of like a pseudo safety the way he plays corner because he's around the ball but won't make all of the ball plays. But you can still use him in coverage enough to where you're going to go, all right, if he's my 2 or my 2B, I feel safe with Jalen Watson. He's not my 1, but like if he came to Washington, Amos is my 1, Jalen as my 2 or 3, so Sainer, I would have been over the moon for that secondary.
Yeah.
But we got Amik Robertson, which I'm still not mad at. Jalen Watson to the Rams, pair him up with Trey McDuffie. You still have the broomstick and Emmanuel Forbes. And I'm sure they're going to draft someone, whether it's Mansour Delane, whether it's my guy Trayton Stooks, Chris Johnson, et cetera, et cetera. 3 at 51 still feels a little safe for a corner, considering he's probably the 2 behind McDuffie's 1, and McDuffie got a payday for him. He got a, 3 or 4 for 100 and some change. So I'm not mad at that. Alontae Taylor to the Titans came a little out of left field for me personally. But again, Robert Saleh is trying to fix every gunshot wound with a Band-Aid, and this is a decent Band-Aid to cover up that wound. And then, to your point, the Kobe Bryant to the Bears, if Brisker and Byard are gone, and then as we're recording, Reed Blankenship is now a Houston Texan, there are not too many more better safeties on the market than Kobe Bryant to go to a team that is desperate for secondary help, like the Ben Johnson-led Bears. Yeah. Is he Dennis Allen's new honey badger? Is he going to do better than Byard or Brisker? Time will tell. 3 for 40. So that's touching what? 13 a year? Let's call it 13 a year. Because it's like 13 and 30.
Yeah, 13 and change, yeah.
13 and change. So really, it's really more like 10 after guarantees and taxes. They kind of got him on the cheap, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, no, definitely not a bad contract. Not a lot of big contracts given out to corners right now. I mean, McDuffie re-signing what he did. That's important to us here in New England because Gonzalez is going to be signing an extension soon, we hope. And they're going to reset the market there, so
everyone knew the McDuffie contract was signing. It was just going to be a who, not a when. So for Los Angeles to go, I mean, we took Jared Verse 2 years ago. We made our 1 first-round pick in a decade. Let's just go with tradition. No. F these picks, and a third, and a fifth, and another pick for all-pro Pro Bowler. They're making a Super Bowl push right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they make another trade soon.
We'll see. I mean, we know the Rams' philosophy is F them picks, and they've still got one, so they could still get rid of it. Okay.
I mean, listen, or they could use. Yeah. I saw this one earlier.
Let's touch on some of these Patriots signings. We are a Patriots-centric podcast being located here in Providence, about 20 minutes from the stadium. People think that it's Boston, but no. Boston's about 40 minutes from the stadium. We're 20 minutes. Okay, it's closer to us.
Which still ain't bad. Which that ain't bad timing to be that close to a stadium. That's actually not bad.
Now, first signing of the day for New England, they brought in Draymond Jones, an edge rusher, 3 years, $42 million, about $14 a year. That's not bad. Mm-hmm. Jones is an interesting signing to me because he is a different body type physically than we have on the defensive line currently. About 280 pounds. We just simply don't have a guy like that right now. Now, they turned around about 5 minutes later and released Jelani Tavai, who was always a weird fit in this system. And so I'm not sure if that was related to the Jones signing or not, because again, I don't think that Jones is going to step into the role Tavai played. So I see Jones as kind of stepping in, and playing, I guess, probably Barmore between him and Williams in the 3-man line. And then I don't know. It's an interesting projection into the system. Especially again now, Kyrie's Tonga on his way out the door. 3 years, $21 million over the Chiefs. Look, I had his signing value at something like $2 to $4 million this offseason. So the fact that he nearly doubled that going over to Kansas City, like, good for him. Good for him. He was a good player. He showed versatility. He was a good teammate. I thought he was going to come back here. I really did. I think we're gonna low-key miss that guy. But I understand not bringing him back at that number. They brought in a fullback, Reggie Gilliam, which that we had a fullback, Brock Lampy, we brought in last year, UDFA. He got injured like immediately in the preseason. He got injured like signing his rookie contract. Ow, my hand, shit. Yep. But he never played it down, period. Not in the preseason, not anywhere. But we still had high hopes for him. We thought he was coming back. It seems New England's hopes are not quite as high. They also brought back Jack Westover, which is he played kind of an H-back tight end sort of role. Yeah. So a number of moves, a number of in and out, but yet Vidarian Lowe's another guy. He's headed to San Fran, 2 years, $12 million, solid backup tackle.
That's not bad, honestly.
No, I'm happy for him. I thought he was. I thought there was a possibility he was going to get like the Jalen Moore contract that KC gave him, and I was like, well, it'd be a little much. But That wasn't bad. The things that really get my attention, no major wide receiver moves made for New England. So our room, I mean, arguably our number one receiver is Kayshon Boutte. Yeah, it's Kayshon Boutte, Kyle Williams, Demario Douglas, F.T. Chisholm, and Mac Hollins. You got to add some juice to that room.
Love me some Kyle Williams, though. I wanted him in Washington bad.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Kyle Williams. I think he's going to step right into that Steph Diggs role. We still need an X. We still need a big guy. Kayshon Boutte is not enough. Kayshon Boutte is like a number 3, number 4 wide receiver to me, not a number 1. We need a number 1. I'm really hoping they're going to target Denzel Boston in the draft. That to me is the number 1 X receiver we need.
Honestly, I'll tee this up, and we can always talk about this on the next mock draft. Because I've done the Patriots mock last week. I'll take an Omar Cooper Jr.
Interesting.
Give me your one.
I've seen that too. I've seen that.
Because when I had Gridiron Apex, so Dante on 2 months ago to do our receivers list, he said that Omar could be a sneaky first round pick. What have we heard the last 2 months? Like 2 weeks after that video dropped, reports were saying, hey, Omar Cooper Jr. rising up boards after the combine. This Omar Cooper Jr. kid could really be a nice, late first round pick. I'm thinking y'all should have credited our video. So I do think you need a receiver. I think you could also wait till your second round pick and go get some of the other guys, Bryce Lance, Elijah Surratt, Tyron Montgomery, Ted Hurst, like
Jacoby Lane.
I keep forgetting about Jacoby Lane. I keep forgetting about him. I don't know why.
I love Jacoby Lane. I love me some Jacoby Lane and Malachi Fields.
I love me some Omar Cooper Jr. and Bryce Lance. Like Bryce Lance to me, give him to me in DC. Fast and tall, you can't beat it. Back to your Patriots. I think if you really wanted to go weird, I think you could go O-line at 31, go get one of those receivers at 63, and you'd still be in a good spot to say, well, the second round guy is good enough to be our 1, Kyle to your 2, maybe Pop to your 3, Chisholm can go to special teams and be your returner because he's got decent speed, and you call it a day.
Well, Chisholm's got shit speed. He ran like a 4.8 40, but he's got great shimmy. He's got good shimmy.
He's got
good shimmy. He's got good shake.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
so
now still hanging in the balance for these guys, Kayvon Chaisson and Jalen Hawkins. They're both still out there, both unsigned. That surprises me. I thought Kayvon Chaisson was going to have something of an aggressive market out there. I thought we were going to be forced to either really pay up or watch him walk. And now I'm thinking maybe they get him in that 12 to 15 range.
I think you could because, I mean, the day is not over as of recording. We're an hour to this recording thing. We're 6 hours into free agency.
Yeah. It should be said. We're recording this from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Monday the 9th.
Yep. So at maybe 8:30 when he's editing this, we go, oh crap, Chaisson comes on. He's got to do a 5-minute record. Hey, by the way, just ignore that last 5 minutes of the edge market. So he could be waiting to see what the overall market is. And so could New England because they both could go, look, Chaisson wants 18. We want to give him 13.5. But the market maybe average is 17. They're maybe trying to get to that average point of we could give you 15 at best. But if you want 18, it's going to have to be coming out of straight, cold hard cash, homie. No Randy Moss. Or he's waiting up for a team, Chicago, San Fran, Baltimore, Las Vegas, could be waiting for a team to go, well, you guys are paying big money. I'll take a lower cost for y'all because you got to spread the wealth. There's got to be something behind the scenes that obviously we're not hearing.
Well, see, I would be surprised if Baltimore made another big investment in the edge position right now after just dropping 2 firsts into Crosby.
I mean, Minter does need some defensive linemen. Like, if you call Crosby his Khalil Mack, well, then who's going to be his Odafe Owe on the other side? Is it Mike Green? Because I was a Mike Green fan coming out of last year's draft, and he produced like 2.5 sacks.
Yeah, no, they said the most impressive thing Mike Green did in his rookie year was not pile up any charges off the field. Just
See,
that's what I was
I
happy about.
see.
Okay.
I was high on Mike Green despite the charges because there wasn't a lot about those stories, which is the weird thing. Normally, you hear, story after story after article after
Yeah.
article. You had to dig for some of these stories, which told
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah. No, it was like some distant white smoke. There was not
yeah,
a lot of smoke. It was like some
no,
smoke on a fire that had gone out a long time ago, sort of
yeah,
smoke.
which like everyone's saying, well, John, you got to worry about these allegations and these stories. I'm thinking, yes, I hear all that, but the fact that it also takes another year and a half for some of these things to come out, and another year for prosecution, tells me I can get at least 2 years of this guy before he goes to court, or he just settled it outside of court, and none of us knew. Like for some of these, and I'm not gonna let me make a PSA on behalf of Snap Judge and a BIB. I take all allegations seriously. I take all of these things, whether it's Tyreek, whether it's Rasheed, whether it's Mike Green, whether it's Joe Mixon, whether it's Ray Rice. I take all allegations seriously. They should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But if they are truly just allegations and nothing comes out after that, it's innocent before proven guilty.
Yeah,
that is legitimately written in law. So I'm going to give him a pass until he proves me otherwise, aka James Pierce Jr.
Well, yeah, and my question with Mike Green was it looked like it was becoming kind of a pattern, and now you got to stay away from that. And like that's the thing with Tyreek Hill, right? Like, listen, you could go. Listeners of my podcast know that one of my favorite pastimes is bashing the human piece of trash that is Tyreek Hill. Okay,
I'm gonna do that for a year.
At any point in time, I can't stand that guy. But when you have a well-established reputation for something, I don't give a shit if it's an allegation or anything anymore. Back in 2014, he got the benefit of the doubt. Now, in 2026, no longer with the benefit of the doubt for him. So,
well, in 2024, we gave him a pass after that whole cop situation. We were like, oh, let's give him a pass because that was a really bad situation. A year later, it's like we can't touch this guy with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, no, dude, he's a trash human being. All right. We are past an hour at this point. We're going to run through a quick rapid fire and then wrap things up. All right. So just give me quick, short, maybe one sentence answers. Best signing today.
Ooh. Honestly, I'll go Kenneth Walker.
Okay. All right. Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. All right. Worst signing today.
Oh, worst signing. Oh God, you're killing me with these because these are such great questions. I'm not going with the Jalen Naylor signing. I think they overpaid for him.
Yeah. That's a good call. How about your most surprising move? What were you surprised by that happened today?
Oh, Linderbaum to the Raiders. I didn't have the Raiders on my bingo card for him at all, and we're just getting news about his contract. To me, it's Linderbaum to Las Vegas.
Yeah, no, I could see that, especially with the amount. That's just staggering. What team is winning free agency so far? Because we know the guys who win in March are not usually the guys who win in January. So let's give them some love today while they get it.
Honestly, I mean, I just brought up the Raiders. I think the Raiders have actually won free agency, to be honest. As of we're recording, they have signed 8 guys: Stokes, Naylor, Pay, Linderbaum, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Malcolm Coons. I think they've actually won today more surprisingly than not.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see that argument. I think, there are a few impact signings made around the league, but Vegas definitely made more signings than anybody that I saw. All right, give me a player who got overpaid. That isn't named Linderbaum.
Jalen Phillips for sure. Love him. You got paid, my brother. Paid.
Yes, that is a good call. He had a lot of money in there now. All right, listen, folks. we are going to get out of here again. Let's leave that caveat. This was shot between 6 and 7. By the time you see this in the morning, there's going to be some more signings. That is just how it is. If they are Patriots related, I'll probably pop out with a little emergency podcast at some point in time in the day. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you, John, Ballin in Burgundy. You just want to throw out your handle and stuff again for them real quick? I will put it in the description of this video also.
Absolutely. So Instagram, YouTube, TikTok at Ballin In Burgundy Podcast, Twitter at BIB Podcast 22, because Twitter hates long usernames. And I refuse to pay $14.99 for a blue checkmark. I will not do it. It is no money spent here at BIB. And then every Wednesday night, 9-ish, we go live. Myself, Reed Easy, Juan Guy, Talking Sports, the Burgundy Breakdown. Have an absolute fantastic time. Free agency is here. My Commanders are spending money where we should have spent them last season. But Randy, thank you for letting me on. Thank you for having me. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, no, this was a good time, man. I'm glad we were able to get you on. Look, we'll do the mock draft. We're going to talk after the podcast, after the little outro video, try and settle up a day and time that we can get you back in here. We're going to do a 7-round mock draft where you take command of the Commanders, I take command of the Patriots, and we see how this thing goes and who gets who, all right?
I like it.
So, folks, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your dad, tell your uncle, tell everybody this is a great podcast. You want to come check it out. And also, don't forget, let's get this guy over here to 1,000 subscribers, okay? He is 20 short. 20, all right? Thousands to subscriber does not win a contest, but you get the satisfaction of getting him past 1,000, and that's big. All right, folks. Have a great